When the cameras aren't rolling and the spotlight is off, what are your favorite celebs really like? This is Buck the System, the podcast that peeks behind the curtain, under the covers, and brings you along as host Buck Gritano exposes real reality. We started with the captains of the smash hit TV show Wicked Tuna. How cool is that? And every time we buck the system, we have an awesome time doing it. So now, let's have some fun. Are you ready? Buckle up and let's go.
There was bands like, for me, I'd be honest with you. One of them was Ignite for some reason. They were in a New York City band.
They were in New York a lot though for not being in.
They were so fucking good. Then I had a chance to interview Zoli, whatever his name is.
Zoli.
Holy shit! He's like, I don't even like the music I was singing. I'm like, what the fuck?
No, you know what though? That's the thing. I see. We all have like.
I was like, wow, I love your lyrics. I love you stamp. He's like, I can't do that, man. There's too much. There's too much.
You know what? Though? He's not the only one though. There's a lot of us that we are, we can play, steps above what we do, but we enjoy doing this because it's, not saying it's easy, but it's what gives us the most like jump. It's like instant gratification in a way because it's just you're playing with this energy and you're playing with this passion and you just like it's a lot. I mean,
but is it?
Like I said, you'd be surprised, like all the people that from bands who are just into like other shit and just amazing musicians, and you would never know it because it's almost like everyone dumbs themselves down a little bit, like, and that's not really because
I know what you mean. I know what you're saying, but I know what you're saying.
Everyone loves so much. There's so much music. That's the one thing I have to say about the 90s. What we had going on back then. You had flavor and you had variety. You had every band. Everyone had a niche and a sound and a thing, and and like for instance, like I got to give major props to like Kevin Gill, because at the time with SFT, he had like a lot of different flavors on that label, and it's just like. He had us, he had District 9, he had Shutdown, he had Six and Violence, he had No Redeeming Social Value, he had Neck.
That was a great show, right?
He had Roguish Armament, which was a hip hop band. He had, all this different music, out there. And that was just what the scene was in the 90s, especially like from like 94, 95 and on. Everybody was just so fucking different, It was. You had he had VOD. And just, it was just, again, it was what was going on. What was going on at the time was just so diverse. And, and it was funny because it's like, yeah, you had the beatdown stuff too happening, but that was kind of kept over here, and, for the most part, everyone, because then you had like an H2O, and then you had an Orange 9mm. And then you had, like, from Boston, you had, like, Cast Iron Hike, and then you had Overcast, and you had Coalesce, and, there's so many of these fucking bands.
Who I liked? Ensign. That was the band I really liked.
I liked Ensign. They seem to, like, be hit or miss here in the city a lot. Like, they were huge in Jersey.
I enjoyed them, but I really enjoyed their stuff.
Vision was a fucking great. We did a bunch of shows with Vision. Those guys were fucking fantastic. I mean, they slightly older guys. They were they hailed from fucking New Jersey, and they played a lot of like late 80s, early 90s shows. But they would kind of go away, they come back, they go away, come back. But they were this very passionate melodic thing going on. You had you had Kill Your Idols. Kill Your Idols came up and kind of did another thing. They took it to another place. And, again, people weren't afraid to just do something else. Like, I feel that today, a lot of the bands are doing the same thing. And hey, the old guys in the room.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Like doing the same thing? The same sound, or?
Well, all right. Like, a few years ago, I remember I was watching some live stream of This Is Hardcore, right? And I was like, this is hardcore, and it's nothing against the people. You know, I think they do a fantastic job. They run a great show, but I was like, man, hardcore's got quite the metal sound these days. You know, it's got quite the, like, chugga chugga, you know, tuned down, you know, to C, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, sound hardcore is allowed to, you know, again, fuck the rules. Rules are out the window. Hardcore could develop to however it wants to develop, you know, because then you look at a band like Crown of Thorns, and
Love
they
Crown of
were
Thorns.
doing something else too, you know, and then you know, so you had all these different fucking bands coming into
But
things.
did you have to do something else to make yourself, get out there and be? I mean, at the end of the day, you want to sell albums, you want to make money, right? At the end of the day,
I mean, there was a point where we wanted to make this our lives. You know, I would say, like, by 1996, Vaughn Lewis became our manager, and Vaughn Lewis was the guy who used to come to shows back in '95 and early '96, and he would snap photos. You know, he was a photographer, and at some point, I think he went out on the road with H. Shore Murphy's Law as a tour manager. They needed someone to do it or sell merch or something. He came back and he wound up managing H2O. And at the time, I think he also he helped manage Murphy's for a minute too, you know. And sometime during all of this, he was helping us out a little bit, and then he just became our manager. So then all of a sudden, you know, we started, you know, we started looking at it as, you know, we started getting more and more attention. We were doing things, and then labels started poking their nose around, and then we had people in our corner like Howie Abrams. Howie Abrams was an A&R guy for Roadrunner Records. He also worked at In Effect Records, Relativity. Uh,
wow.
he did a lot of things, and he always said, when I get the chance to fucking really help you guys, because we knew Roadrunner wasn't going to be our thing, but he actually wound up going to Zomba Jive. So he wound up getting us a development deal with Zomba Jive, and, you know, basically, you know, they were going to help us develop, you know, our thing, and then help us shop the tape to other things. You know, they would obviously see something, but I think our publishing was going to be under Zomba or something like that. I don't remember the details of the deal really. But, you know, we had people like that in our corner. We had a bunch of people just pulling for us constantly because we were just, you know, and the thing was, we got a lot of the usual suspect labels like, you know, Victory looking at us and making offers, but we always felt we could do better, you know, and we did have other labels looking at us and whatnot. And there were a lot of interest. I remember playing a lot of random showcase shows. Like we get the call like on Monday, guys, I'm setting up a show on Wednesday at some random club in the village. So-and-so is in town. They want to see you guys. And we would just show up with our gear, play, you know, and it'd be like, our audience wouldn't be there because they wouldn't know. We did a lot of those shows, you know.
Really?
So,
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow. Just like to
you know,
show up because you don't know who you're playing. It's like a baseball player who's a pitcher and the scouts coming by, right? And you got to throw a couple of pitches. I got you.
You know, and we would meet with people and whatnot. And, you know, like I said, we definitely thought in our time that, you know, we can make it a living. And I think we were definitely there, but, you know, looking back on it, like everyone has always, you know, I've gotten this question before where people go like, well, if Fahrenheit didn't break up, what was the next step? And I was like, if Fahrenheit didn't break up, we would have eventually released a full length record, chord on it, and then we would have broke up. And, you know, and that was
the
just
truth. Yeah, you're being honest, but right.
I think, you know, we all had spent enough time in the van together, and just, you know, we were in each other's lives so fucking much. And I think, you know, tensions rose sometimes over stupid things and ego, and no, this isn't how we're writing this song, or we're not doing this, or, you know, it just, you know, typical band shit, you know, why bands break up. And, you know, you know, I always say that, you know, we would have probably recorded a record, went on tour, like with a bus and the whole thing, probably would have did like one big loop of the world, came back and fucking just hated each other even more.
But I think if you guys would have got out there on the road, your music would have definitely
Well, we did go on the road a bit. I
But
mean,
you know what I mean, like a real
like,
big,
yeah, like that.
yeah. Even if you got on, like I see like other bands. I don't know who would. What's the Mindset? Mindset. They changed their name, right? Mindset. Did they change their name to a different band?
There's
What
so
band
many
am I thinking of?
bands
They played on like Ozzy Osbourne. They were on tour with them. That's what I'm talking about. You get on like an opening tour. Like you guys
oh
would
yeah.
have been.
Well, those were around when we like those Ozfest and things. Like we never did a Warped Tour show. We never did an Ozfest show. And the thing was, like,
That would have been like.
we could have went on like a lot of people have thought we went to Europe, which we never did. Because our thing was we wanted to be a lot of bands during that time went to Europe, but they didn't go with like legit booking people. They went with like Man with the Van, and he's the guy who is planning your tour for you. He's providing the van, he's providing the gear, he's also maybe making merch. So he's seeing all the profit first, even though his van is paid off, even though his gear is paid off, and you know, people come back with like, we did great. Now here's the fucking flip side of this. A lot of bands I know who went to Europe, they're like, oh, those shows were great. A lot of those shows now are on YouTube. And this is the problem. No one thought YouTube was going to be around in 10, 15 more years. So a lot of this, like, yeah, those shows were great. And I'm like, you had 10 people religiously at like every other show. Dude, the whole tour is on YouTube, So I mean, I understand like beating it, just like we did great. Our whole thing was when we could have went to Europe, but our thing was we wanted to like be big in our own backyard. A lot of bands, there were bands like VOD and H1, they got out the door and they ran across the United States and all over the place. And we wanted to be big in our own backyard first before we decided to go to Europe, I guess, and just also, the money thing, we didn't want to come so far out of fucking pocket because, the band was making kind of enough money to keep the shirt, the merch thing going. The merch thing kind of took its own life on. And then, we'd make some money back from tour. And then, we might have enough money to pay rent for our rehearsal studio for like, a couple months or whatever it was, enough to keep the machine going, where it wasn't terrible. And all of this while we're all working jobs, everyone,
amazing.
A lot of us were lucky enough, except for Kevin, that we had jobs where we could just like take off for like 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. Kevin, every time that happened, Kevin would quit his job.
Oh no.
Like Frank and Amanda had jobs where they could leave. Ray had a job where he could leave. I had a job where I could leave and take a leave of absence and come back. Kevin couldn't do that. Kevin would try it and they were like, "You're fired." All right, he's out of work and he's on tour now. But we were living it. That was the thing. We were willing to make those sacrifices at that time, and I just think that looking back on it now, I go, how the fuck did we make all this happen? It's like, I mean, a lot of it is our own sheer willpower to just do something. We believed in the mission, which was to get to the next level and to whatever level that was, and then to get to the next level. And that's like kind of like our whole thing was like to get to the next level. Remember, like we talked on the phone a while ago, and you were like, "Oh, is there any clubs that are still around from your day, from back in the day?"
Yeah.
I was talking to Armando about this. Actually, there is one, Irving Plaza.
Irving Plaza. Oh wow, still around. Wow.
Yeah, we played 2 shows at Irving Plaza. Now I remember playing a show down the block from Irving Plaza, like in '95 or some shit, and it was this like little dump called the Pit. It was literally just like a bar with a stage and a bad PA. And we played with I think Judgment Day or somebody. This is like early '95. And I just remember we're standing outside the show, and it's like we had some people there. It was like, oh, it was like 20 friends showed up and they're dancing. This is cool. And I remember we're outside after the show and we look up the block, you see Irving Plaza. Like, that'd be nice. I'd rather the show be there. And then lo and behold, almost a year and change later, we opened up for Murphy's Law and Doggy Dog at Irving Plaza. And then a year after that, we wound up going on direct support for VOD, which the show was sold out. 1,250 paid, I think.
Wow.
Just chaos, So, everything was like little goals we had set, and then, then we made it to California, and, then we made it through the Midwest, and then, up and down the East Coast, and
So how did Fahrenheit do in California? So you got to give me a story about a California trip.
I could give
That
you,
must have been.
I could give
That
you
must have been.
more stories. All right. California, I think we did okay. I think people dug it. We sold merch. I think we did better in the Midwest, because at the time, California had a ton of bands, and there were a ton of like when we went to. I remember the first time we went on tour with a California band here was Powerhouse. Eddie.
Powerhouse. Wow.
Powerhouse, Oakland Bay Hardcore. Fucking those guys were just we went on tour with them and Maximum Penalty for like maybe 2.5 weeks around like November 97. And we played up and down the East Coast. I think we started in like Vermont or New Hampshire or something, but like we literally played like all the states up there and came all the way down to like DC and playing everywhere in between. So we're playing a show, and it was, those shows were real hit or miss for some reason. Like some shows were great, some shows were terrible. But here's a good tour story about that particular tour. So we play up in Maine. 4 people pay to get in. So I don't remember who went on first, but we, like Powerhouse had their merch table. We had our merch table, and Maximum Penalty had their merch table. Like kind of like had it squared out, like spread out. And then the next band went on, and we moved our tables all a little closer. And by last band, we all had our tables touching, like in front of the stage, because we were throwing stuff at each other, and whatnot. Now here's where the fun story gets funny. So Testament was playing, like the Powerhouse guys know Chuck Billy from Testament. So they were playing somewhere not that far. Testament were playing somewhere not that far away, and Testament's an Oakland band, Frisco band. And they, Chuck Billy jumps in the back of the van. Now the Powerhouse guys never really saw snow before.
Wow.
So they're driving around in this parking lot, and being, fans of cartoons like we all were, they thought if we drive through a mountain of snow, it'll just go pow and everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Well, needless to say, Chuck Billy ended up in the front seat with them. They fucking wrecked the front of their van. I remember the next morning, we're sitting there, and we look at their van, like, what the fuck happened to you guys? And, we had to get it secondhand. I don't think they wanted to tell us.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, so many random shit. I mean, I remember like there's so much different. Like the thing with
how do you're out there, right? Like Lenny, you're out there playing, and 4 people show up. How the fuck do you even go on?
You just do, because you have to have faith that the next show will be better. And that's the thing. I mean, there were times like when H2O was like at the top of their game. There would be sometimes we play somewhere in the Midwest or West Coast with them. And the night before was like fucking 300 people in this little room, and it was great. And then you go to like Reno, and it's 12 people paid. It's just luck of the draw sometimes, It's like, see, the thing is, when people tell me like, oh, I want to like live this life, I want the band to be my life. It's like, you got to be willing to play on a fucking Monday night. You got to be willing to play on a Tuesday night. Like all these, you have to live it. You have to breathe it. You have to, be about it. Good for bad, whatever.
And that's not just you by yourself. That's 3 other guys or 4 or 5 other guys, personalities that God only knows.
I mean, what helped us out a lot was most of the time we were fucking stoned. It kept us somewhat civil. It was just one of those things. It's like we believed in the end product, which was, tomorrow's another show. See what happens. And sometimes, a lot of times, the next day would be a better show. That you'd be, all right.
Yeah. So let's talk about the show. We got this show first, right? Let's put it up. Right. That's the birthday bash, 20's 50th birthday bash.
I'm doing 2 sets. I'm playing 30 minutes
fucking
with Crazy
cool.
Eddie, and then I don't know how the fuck long with Fahrenheit.
I got a beautiful Canon camera. I'd love to donate my time to film it if that's okay with you guys.
You have do what you want.
Awesome,
Run around
awesome.
naked for I give a fuck. Bring
I
your
got
kid.
that. Yeah. I was watching it the other night. It's kind of weird. The Woodstock '99 thing on because I don't remember. I had my son. My son was born in '99, so I didn't really.
Oh, the one that
wasn't
was on HBO about like
the fires and
stuff.
shit. And our generation were fucking crazy. I'm saying to myself, if I was there, right, and going through the conditions they went through, I went to one show, the SOU 20th anniversary, I think it was 10th anniversary SOU's, because that was where I got my music from. Because I didn't know any music, so once in a while,
nothing though. SOU, just to go off track again.
Yeah.
SOU was like a fucking great way. You know, I mean, it didn't have the biggest reach, but it had a big enough reach.
It reached me. It reached me in Rockaway. If it was cloudy, but if it was cloudy, you didn't reach when it was cloudy. We didn't get it that day, you know.
Well, it had more reach than like NYU, WNYU, because they had Crucial Chaos on Thursdays, and you know every week or every show they would have a band play live in the studio. I think we did 2 of them. You know, there wasn't a lot of radio that played it, but there was at the time in '99, not '99, but in the '90s, you had more and more radio stations embracing this because, you know, I mean, you know, when grunge hit the market in like '91 and Nirvana blew up, all of a sudden this music that the industry had ignored for so fucking long, you know, where like if you sold fucking like 50,000 copies of a record, you know, the label would say, fuck it, we'll give you another record. You know, they would let you kind of develop, you know, like, all right, so next time maybe they'll sell 100 or 200 or 300,000 copies. You know, it really all is about timing and luck and the song, because there's so many great songs out there that never became hits, but, you know, from bands that should have been bigger than they were. But, you know, again, it's all about the stars aligning in the right order and, you know, the right people hearing your shit at the right time. A lot of what happens to people with bands, it's about being, a lot of times, not just about being good, it's about being lucky. It's about playing in front of the right person at the right fucking time.
I agree. I believe that.
You know, you could work your ass off. There's bands out there right now who are nomad bands, I call them, because they just live the lifestyle. They live on the road because it's about the adventure. They don't give a fuck whether they make it or not. They would rather be fucking out on the road for fucking 100, 150, 200 days a year than be stuck at some fucking job that they fucking hate and get enough money to get gas in the van, some food in the stomach, and on to the next adventure. You know, and I got to give respect for people like that because they just don't care. You know, it's about adventure, you know, and they're not looking to be like, we're going to be the next big thing. And then there's bands like that who do stuff like that, and they happen to, you know, like Turnstile, for instance. I'm not a fan of Turnstile. I respect the hustle, though. I respect that band's hustle because for the last 10 years, they've lived their lives on the road. They've sacrificed everything to be that band. And you got to give them their respect, you know, regardless of whether you like that band or not, whether if they rub you right or wrong. You know, they were out there doing it, you know, fucking, and you can't knock a band for that, you know. They're out there putting their nose to the fucking grindstone and making it happen, and you know, and they're reaping the benefits of it and whatever. And there's people going, oh, they're not hardcore, they're not this. Who gives a fuck? Music is music, you know.
If Fahrenheit was starting today, what would the angle of the band today? Like, if you were starting the band today, would it be different than your approach back then? What would your approach be today?
I don't know. I mean, if we were coming out with the same like songs and everything, and see, it's different because a lot of bands now today tune down their instruments to get the lower register sounds and you know, like drop D, C tuning. And the thing is, I really don't know if we would let that affect us and we'd be one of those bands that tune down. It's hard to really say. I mean, right now, as I look at it, like we're currently well, we've already sort of written the songs. We're just tightening them up. Like we haven't rehearsed since late last year, just because around the holidays, usually I've learned over the years that you put things on the side, you do family stuff.
Yeah. It's hard to get things done during the holidays. I get it.
People have kids, people have lives, responsibilities. So the band is not everything anymore. It's important to us, but when we got back together for the shows with H2O at LRP and down on in the Village, you know, they offered us 2 gigs back to back. We took them, and unfortunately, our original, well, he wasn't our original drummer, but it was our longtime drummer, Ray Green, didn't want to do it. So we got Lou Medina, who I had played with in District 9, and I've played with Lou in a couple other projects here and there, and we're friends. And brought a new life into the band, and we played, and we loved it. Everyone had, we were very passionate about what we did. And it came down to it. Once we were done, it's like, all right, well, what do we do now? Do we play every once in a while and just do the greatest hits thing? Because we don't have a huge, Fahrenheit doesn't have a very huge catalog. We got, like a dozen songs and change. Besides, I mean, we used to like pad our set out with fucking covers, and the thing was we were always tinkering with songs, and I think we actually there were a lot of songs that would come out into the set list. We'd play them for a month and then ditch them because we didn't like it, and then we'd move on to the next song and we'd play it for a month, didn't like it, ditch it. And, we're always experimenting, and that was just our nature, was to tinker. So we started talking about it. We're like, well, what are we gonna do? And so we're like, you know what? Why don't we try to write a couple songs? And it was that was like the catalyst. And I wrote one and Frank wrote the other. And, we got them pretty close to being done right now. We have a couple of.
Is it a Fahrenheit sound? Does it have the Fahrenheit sound?
It has,
is kind of.
No. It like
you evolved over the years, right?
I've sent a couple of the rough rehearsals to a couple of friends, who I've known for years, and from what they say is like it has that Fahrenheit thing.
Good.
It still has that Fahrenheit thing. I don't know what it is with you guys, but it still sounds like a Fahrenheit song. Whatever the fuck that means. Because being in the band, I don't know what the fucking Fahrenheit thing is.
Yeah, you know what it is. Come on, you know what it is.
No, but no, I really don't, because dude, we do us. I can't really explain how we do us. Again, it's a melting pot of influences coming together, and you take a shit, and that's what it is. It's our sound.
So you're gonna come out with these 2 songs, and then what are you gonna do with it? Are you gonna come and play some more?
Well, the thing is, right now, our whole thing with that is, we can easily play like we don't. Well, let me rewind that. Our thing is we can't play a lot because since there's no new output, when you have bands that are like basically churning out the hits, you can't play every other month. People get sick of you 1, 2, 3. The last show we played was September of last year. We played with Disassociated and Meniscopheles and some other bands. Deja, Drunken Rampage.
Damn, I'm so out of the loop, man. Yeah. I'm sorry, bro. Oh, he's calling all these names up. I don't even.
You would know. Meniscopheles, they were back around when we were around, and so was Disassociate. The other two somewhat newer. But we played, just to fucking play a show, and we get offers every now and again. But the thing is, it's really about putting space in between gigs right now until we can like push a couple of new songs out.
Gotcha.
Right now, like we're talking to a couple people about where we're going to record and how we're going to do it. That's being planned out right now. Don't know when it's going to be recorded. Maybe before this show in June, maybe after this show in June. It's hard to say right now, but that's where it's going. But it's on the table. It's going to happen.
But this is a serious thing. You guys are looking really like you're serious trying, or it's like let's see how it feels. These 2 songs. We'll see what we get back, the feedback, or
Here's the thing. It's something that we want to do just because. There's really no like rhyme or reason. It's not like we're doing this because, like, oh, these songs might blow up. It's like,
no,
dude,
I get it. I totally get that. I totally get it.
we're doing
I
it
totally
because
get it.
I think we need to do it. I think people deserve to hear some output out of us. If we're together, it's like it'd be a crime not to fucking pop out a couple songs. And the reason why we're only doing 2 songs because it's quick, it's easy, and if people don't like it, they don't like it. It's just 2 songs. If people love it, we gave them 2 songs, and you're gonna have to wait for more. But we have a couple of people interested in putting it out, so we'll see how we got to still work those details out right now. Again,
So where's the angles now? I see you could put it out on a record or whatever, but what's the angle now in 2023? What's the how do hardcore guys put their music out? Besides, because no one buys CDs no more, right?
CD, you know what though? CDs are still a thing in Europe. CDs can be a thing here, and they are a thing in other parts of the world. Vinyl, surprisingly enough, came back in a big way, and like,
Okay.
hold on.
Because I've seen vinyl, like you go like to the stores, even like some like Kohl's, they're selling record players now and stuff.
Oh
So
yeah, well, like I said, with vinyl, right? Like, when I guess what sort of like kicked things off to a certain when we did the shows with H2O, what this guy in the Netherlands, I'm gonna fuck his name up, so we could just call him Jay.
okay.
But Jay, he hit me up, and I put Armando in touch with him, and he was just like, "Hey, would you be interested in putting the thought of it out on vinyl?" And I'm like, you know what? It never had been out on vinyl; it was always on CD. And I was like, all right. And then I looked at it, I was like, it's too long for a 7-inch, and I think the vinyl, I think the EP is like 18 minutes or 17 minutes or some shit like that.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a little too long for a 7-inch. So I was like, well, it's a little too. It's like, well, what could you put something else on it? Like maybe record new songs. Like it's like, dude, that's not gonna happen overnight, So I was like, you'd be waiting. You'd probably just still be waiting, but so we gave them fragments of No More Promises from the Japanese version of our EP. We put out a Japanese version of the thought of it with extra songs. So it's from a newer recording, not the New York's hardest.
Hold on. You put a Japanese version out? Like
We got in some Japanese company called Addicts got in contact with us back around late '97 or whatever it was, and they wanted to license the songs from us, but they wanted more songs. They just didn't want it, and I guess the intention was eventually we were gonna probably go to Japan.
oh, okay.
But the
I
thing
got
was,
you. I got you.
but at the time, also with Japan, I think their economy went into the toilet, so the money it would have cost us an arm and a leg to get out there.
What does it cost today to put together a 7-inch?
Couple grand at least.
Really? Wow.
It depends. It depends on how many you're getting made.
Okay.
I'm
Obviously, the more.
talking roughly like a couple of grand because it's not just there's stuff that goes into it. Like I got it. Like I said, when he asked us to put out, and we had Orlando from Still.
Let me see that. Go. Let me see. That's it.
This record, this photo, like we redid the whole layout. Like this is we had Mondo still has all the original artwork from everything we've ever done. So he had this in a frame. He had someone come over and like take like a long, like light it and take a good photo of it, and then this is new. This is new.
Okay,
This
now you never answered. You never answered. Why Fahrenheit 451?
Oh, well, we're thinking about names. We I guess we.
I know it's a book, but I never read the book because I look it up.
I think we went with the number thing because we all really dug Orange 9mm.
Okay.
So we kind of wanted a number in our name, I think. And I think Armando, I want to say, I think it was Armando came up with it one day. He was just like, because he was the one pushing for the name change. So, like, well, come up with a fucking name. I had no idea. I wasn't opposed to it, but I was also not like 100% on it. And he was like, what about Fahrenheit 451? I was like, well, what's the fucking Isn't that a Ray Bradbury book?
You knew that? You knew that? Or
At the
really?
time, I think I knew that it was a Ray
Wow.
Bradbury book.
Okay, wow, good
And
for
it was
you,
a
man.
it was a movie from I think 1966 as well. But
No fucking clue, man.
yeah. So and and on the book, I believe it said, you know, Fahrenheit 451. 451 was the temperature that paper burns. Being
Oh,
hotheads, you know,
that's perfect. I got you. Thank you.
so
Okay.
it was like it sort of like worked hand in hand. It's like very in a way it was almost tongue in cheek and like kind of like a like lowbrow humor. But yeah, that's really where it came from the Ray Bradbury thing. And years later,
You kind of amazed me, Lenny. You said he dropped out of high school, right? To go to museums, which is kind of crazy. Now you know the books, who authors of books, so you're not a stupid fucking guy.
oh
You know
dude,
you're not stupid.
dude,
Just bored, just very bored easily. Probably that's what it is, right? Very.
Yeah, I'm you know what it is. I'm the type of guy who gets like, you know, like when I first started playing guitar, right? I don't remember what year it was, you know, when I got my first real guitar, but I remember when I first started playing, a couple of guys from the neighborhood were like, "Oh, he won't stick with it." Well,
Oh, and I love when people say that shit.
like
Man.
30
I love that.
odd years later, I'm still playing it. It's kind of like when I
But that's the people that say, Lenny. That's the people that say, "Oh, I know him. I know him. Grew up with him. I know him. It might be the fucking motherfucker."
yeah, you know,
I know what you mean.
it's just that always sort of like pushes me to just be better. But you know, I'm a constant reader. I love books. I love movies. Love
Now
music.
books. What kind of books you're into? What are you into?
A lot of biographies, a lot of history stuff.
You're a history guy.
Yeah,
I'm like a fiction guy, man. You know, I like.
like like I said, I like biographies. I like fucking nonfiction stuff. A lot of more true life stuff.
Oh, you like? I'm a fiction guy. I'm like a Game of Thrones fucking fanatic.
I have no interest in fantasy.
No, really? Wow.
Unfortunately, that's
I'm
not part of.
I'm a big fantasy guy. You know what it is? It
Yeah,
takes me away to like a different world. I think.
I
You
mean,
know.
don't get me wrong. When Game of Thrones came out, fucking, I was all about that.
But the books are like fucking crazy, man.
Get into it. Know what it was? I guess when like required reading in high school, they would like.
Yeah, I got you. This is not. Yeah.
I just was never into it. Like I remember like the book I was into when they gave you the required reading was, I think, To Kill a Mockingbird and Catcher in the Rye.
Catching a Rye. Yeah, now they re-released that for the kids. They can now read it again. For a while, they couldn't read it.
I don't know why. I mean, I think no one was. I think there was some strong language in it. I think that, you know, they were like, oh, whatever. Hey, you know, I haven't read that book in about 10 years. Every now and again, I'll pick it up. I could blaze through a book in like a few hours.
A good one is Chaos is a good book I got from the Rogan show. It's based on the CIA stuff with Manson. Chaos. Really, really. You should, if you're into like, he comes with this different angle. LSD's in there too, and it's fucking insane.
Yeah, like I said,
definitely a good one to look at.
I'm a sucker for a good book. Like, I mean, it just, again, I mean, I'm also running out of room in my bookshelf, and the thing is, like, it's kind of like guitar equipment, for instance. Like, I'm not buying any new guitar equipment because I have everything I need. With books, I don't really have any more space to add stuff to. You know, like when I start having to move things and maybe like, oh, this book may have to get thrown away because I just don't want to become a pack rat. I mean, I know like I have anyone who's been to my house apartment knows that like we have a gallery. That's what we call it because like you know, we're very much into artwork in this fucking, you know, this is just the records behind me, and you know.
No, I hear you. Yeah. And you said your wife likes to shoot. She's a photographer. She likes to do stuff like that. So I totally get it. I get it.
You know, so you know, we also buy friends' artwork every now and again, and you know, but I don't need a ton of stuff in my life, you know, and like, and I know people are like, well, you can read books online. I'm like, I like the physical sitting there with the actual fucking book.
I agree.
Call me old fashioned, whatever. I don't want to read it off a tablet. You know, I just feel more akin to holding a book in my hand and getting into it. And like the other day, I reread, I don't know why, I reread the Marky Ramone biography.
That's funny.
For no reason.
That's funny. My uncle's like really close to Marky. That was years ago. That's funny.
Marky was really close to, believe it or not, to Mark Newman from Sheer Terror too, the old guitar player for Sheer Terror.
Oh, okay. Because what's called used to play, the guy in Rockaway used to play drums for a little bit with Sheer Terror back in the beginning. I forgot his name, man.
Jason Martin.
There you go, Jason Martin. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Rockaway is an interesting. It's just to switch. Let's switch it up a little bit. Like Rockaway, I remember going to Rockaway as a kid when Playland was still around, and and like again, New York had this like New York is different nowadays. I can't put my finger on it, but there's you know what it is? The vibe of New York has changed. Everyone's like, oh, I miss the old New York. I think what you miss is the heartbeat. You know, the clubs, the this, the that, the fucking, anything can happen to anyone at any time, you know, but there were usually, you know, motives for that, like robbery or someone was desperate.
Yeah.
Now it's just like it's Wednesday, why not, you know? And
yeah, you're right.
But
Rockaway used to be that place, man. It used to have that nice vibe in the summer. There's no one. Think about it. There should be a place down here where guys could play a couple bands and come down and play. Right? Is there spots in Rockaway?
There's believe it or not, Rockaway has, you know, my friend of me and the wife, Nick, plays this band, the Guitarist, who are from, you know, Nick is from is a Rockaway boy.
Okay.
And he actually had a rehearsal studio out there called AB Studios. We did a show out in the backyard.
Okay, yes. Right across the street from the old high school, the girls' high school.
Yes.
The old Stella Morris. Yeah.
Murphy's Law played a bar out there a couple of years ago. I don't remember the name of the bar, but, you know, things pop up in Rockaway. It's just, you know, Rockaway was like, always seems like it's in flux. Like they have these big plans for Rockaway. They get to a certain point and then it's just like, you know, and like, I mean, they're developing it now, but they've been developing Rockaway for years. But there's also
it should be a beach town and take advantage of that. And they don't they don't know what they're doing.
I think when the hipsters found out about Rockaway, like, oh, this is like some like land of time for guys. Like, no, motherfuckers. A lot of construction guys live in Rockaway because it's their little slice of paradise. It's as far as they can get from the city, but still be part of the city.
Or not pay the huge taxes like they would do in Long Island, you know, if you get a property. I got you.
You know, and like I said, like, you know, like it's funny, like the other day when we were talking, like, and I was like, wait, you know the Mileys? And it was like,
it's a small world, dude.
Dude, everyone knows everyone in Rockaway, it seems like.
No, not as much as it used to be.
Not as much as it used to be, but there's still pockets of like old school.
Yes. I used to be able to walk on the beach, on the boardwalk, and I would know out of 100 people, I know 10. Now I'm lucky out of 100 people, I know 1. It's 2, if that. So
Rockaway has. I was very surprised when we played out there that Rockaway does have a lot of hardcore people out in Rockaway. I remember I had a band with Armando real briefly called Dominican Day Parade. It was like, I guess, our goal was to like play 10 shows and break up. That was like, it was kind of like a DC hardcore thing. Like DC hardcore bands had a tendency to have a short shelf life and play for like a year and break up and put a record out, usually after they were broken up. And so the first show we played was actually at Christian and Toothless Sean's house.
No, upstairs.
Yeah.
Up on the bridge. You played?
Yeah. We played in the living room.
Who was the other one? Who was the other guys that always played there? Everybody gets hurt?
EGH played there a few times.
They were always there. It seemed like, man.
But yeah, we played our first show at one of their parties. They were like, "Hey, you want to play?" Sure.
Yeah, that's funny.
It was fun. We got fun.
It's funny you said Sean. It's funny because he was my guy that was my lead into the hardcore scene. So
I ran into him actually because he works construction.
Yeah.
And me and him, I remember I hadn't seen him in a while, and he looked at me like, "Lenny," I'm like, because I'm bad sometimes with faces, and sometimes I'm bad with names.
I'm bad with names.
Sometimes I'm just like I'm an idiot savant. I'm like, "Oh shit, that's so and so," But I remember I ran to my job site and we were just bullshit. I was like, "Holy fuck, man, what's going on?" And I mean, a lot of guys into hardcore and metal are in the construction trades.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, dude, Rockaway is a whole different fucking beast. But it's like funny because like I remember when all the clubs kind of left Manhattan, and they all went to Brooklyn. And there's some fantastic clubs in Brooklyn. But like Chip Stew, he runs the Monarch, he runs the Meadows, which is right next door to each other.
Okay.
They're opening. He has a backroom club now in the Monarch. Has Kingsland on Norman Avenue and Kingsland Street or whatever it
See,
is.
Brooklyn. I'm totally whacked
Brooklyn's a
out because
mystery
of
to me
Brooklyn.
still too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dude, I've lived in Queens now for 15 years, and Queens still there's parts of Queens that are still a fucking mystery to me. Like me and my wife, sometimes when we go out to eat, we decide to purposely get lost. Like we have nowhere to be, right? It's like no, all right. When you get up here, take a left. Where are we going? I don't know. We're gonna find it out. We have GPS. If we get too lost, we can get back. And sometimes we've found amazing eats by doing that, just like random spots, like in the middle of nowhere. Like, oh, look, it's a steakhouse in the middle of College Point. What the fuck?
Wow.
You
See,
know,
my
and-
wife wouldn't do that. That's good. That's good. You guys can do that. My wife, yeah.
I mean, sometimes
She can look at a place and go, "We're eating there." She goes, "No, we're not eating there." Just by the look of it. And meanwhile, it could be the best fucking place in the world. Just to look out of it, ain't doing it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, though. It's just like we can be adventurous, but then there's times when we'll sit here and like, what do you want to do? I just want to stay at home. It's just like especially if you had a hard week at work and you're just like, I don't want to do fucking shit this weekend.
Well, I want you to start writing new songs. So
we're doing it.
band.
I mean, it's.
I know you are. I know.
And
Let's throw this up. Hey, let's throw this up, and then because we went one more 2 hours already. Damn.
That's fine. You want to go another hour? I don't give a fuck.
No, I know. Now my wife's texting me. When you're gonna be done soon? Okay, this show. What do we got here?
So this is these are free shows that Drew Stone throws at the Barry Electric. The Back to New York Hardcore Roots music series. Originally they started off at the old A7 Niagara on a 7 and A, and then they got bounced out of there like more or less around pandemic time, and Jesse let Drew start doing free shows here, and they've been, I don't know how many of these he's done. I think he's done 30 some odd, maybe 40 some odd shows, and
good for him. Good guy, man.
That they tend to do fucking really well. It's a community. It's definitely a good group of people who show up to these things. Very, very, very seldom is there trouble at these things. Every now and again, you get the drunken asshole, or you get like some attitude, or almost a fight. But
artwork is amazing. I love it.
Yeah,
I love this.
Yeah, that's Steve Messina that does these. He actually designed the birthday show flyer for us. But like I said, yeah, same guy. He just throws crazy shit together. He makes it work. I'll tell you.
It's awesome, man.
But,
I try to do little things like if somebody's coming on, like a thumbnail, it take me days.
Some people are good at it. I'm dangerous with the computer. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But yeah, I mean and then we'll just jump into Crazy Eddie thing real quickly. That was a complete. I was in the middle of like, I really didn't have any projects on deck because I've been since Fahrenheit. I've stayed constant, playing. I've always been in bands. I've always had some sort of music thing happening, one thing or another. I've almost since 1991, except for 1 year, I always did at least one show a year. 1 year I didn't have a band or a project, and I just missed out on playing. But always stayed constant doing something. And Crazy Eddie came around as just Chucky Brown. You'll know him from Chucky Brown's Hood TV. He puts up videos from Chucky was always the dude at the shows back in the day, the real quiet Spanish dude with the video camera like off to the side, just filming everybody, documenting everybody. And
thank God he did, right?
Yeah, dude, he's gotten some. He pops up with some of the most amazing footage. Sometimes you're like, where the fuck did you find this? So I had a bunch of Fahrenheit VHS tapes. I was like, hey, you know how to transfer these? He's like, yeah. So I was like, here, transfer them, put them up on your channel. I don't give a shit. I just want them out in the world. So he put them up. Well, I gave him the tapes, which Chucky, I need my fucking tapes back. This is like back in 2017.
Wow.
So and
Chucky,
so
give me his taste back.
he has a bunch, but they're not going anywhere. I know where he lives.
Yeah.
So we started bullshitting. I dropped off the tapes, and we are like, "What are you doing these days?" He's like, nothing." Because he played bass in a band called Abject. Uh, for a while, and he's been in some other bands. He's gonna kill me because I can't fucking remember the name of the bands. But anyway, he played bass in this band Abject, and he hadn't played in a second. And I was like, "Well, what do what are you doing musically? You want to do something?" I was just like, because I usually have a circle of people I like to play with, but every now and again you yank someone from here and yank someone from there. That's how me and Lou Medina got hooked up, because Lou had played drums for Breakdown for years, and I had just we all kind of were in the same circles. In fact, when before we got Ray Green in the band, we actually asked Lou, and Lou was playing in Cold Front and Breakdown at the time. I don't think he was about to juggle a third band, and this would have took a lot more of his time than a couple of those bands. So he turned it down. Funny, like 20 some odd years later, he's in the band. Go figure.
That's funny.
But
Funny how it works out.
it does. So Chucky just was like, yeah, I was like, I was like, he originally was talking about playing bass, and I was like, okay, cool. We'll figure out. He had someone he had in mind as a drummer and whatever, and I had a couple people in mind as drummers, and then out of left field, he's like, you know what, I want to sing. I was like, you ever sung before? He's like, maybe backups. I'm like, most of the best hardcore fucking singers never had any real formal training, so I was like, all right, yeah, go for it. Next thing you know, now Jason is someone I've jammed with for years. We always try to put some things together. It just never it just never materialized. We just get together and jam. Usually we just like smoke weed and fucking come up with stupid shit. And then Kevin, Kevin was like had nothing going on, and I was like, "You want to play bass in this?" And literally it came together. Played our first show January 2018. We recorded a full length record before we even played a note live.
Really? Wow.
I wrote the first 15 songs in a week and a half. It was my mission I want to write a song a day, sometimes two. So after like 10 days, I had 15 songs, and then went to Andy Guitarist place, who we always record with Andy. He he hooked it up, and I think we're in the midst of recording right now. In fact, tomorrow we're finishing off vocals and other backups and shit, and this will make our catalog 30 songs that we've written since then. So it's just fun, dude. It's not it's nothing to be we just have fun at it. It's like how like guys get together and they go on fishing trips, or they like, hey, we're all going to Boston to go check out Fenway and watch the Yanks play or whatever.
I got you.
This is the same thing. It's something we have fun at, something that we do well, and we're just having fun at it. It's really, we're not there like dialing it in or fucking phoning in a bullshit set. It's like we're actually up there for a bunch of guys in their 40s. We're giving it our all. We're pushing ourselves to just, and it's caveman style hardcore, but I love the most basic hardcore. I like like the circle jerk shit, the minor threat shit, the Black Flag shit. To me, that's like pure fucking hardcore music, and that's what Crazy Eddie is. It's there's like no real hints of metal or anything like that. It's all just like, it all goes back to like the Ramones thing, like that's how I learned how to actually really play guitar. To answer one of your early questions, was I self-taught? To a certain degree, yes. I was taught, a friend of mine, Chris Valdetta, taught, like when I was young, he taught me a couple of like chords, bar chords and whatnot. And after that, I was like, oh, I have a good ear. I can sit down and I can listen. Now the thing with like, where is it? This
It's
record.
funny. It's funny. My uncle always used to tell me the Ramones had three. No, I don't play guitar. It was like 3 notes every song. 3 notes. 3 notes. I don't know what that meant.
No, they had a few more. I mean,
But you know what I mean. Three main.
But this record, I got this record as a kid. When I was first learning to play guitar. The way that it works when you put it on the stereo, the bass comes out of one side, the guitar comes out of the other speaker. So I would take the balance, put it just to the bass and the drums and the vocals, and I would play along to the Ramones.
Gotcha.
So I would play along to Blitzkrieg Bop, Beat on the Brat, Judy's a Punk.
Do you know the funny thing is, my favorite Ramones song is a cover by them, Needles and Pins, and it's not even the hardest song. That's the funny thing.
Oh, that's a nice song, dude. That's a really.
It was great when they did it.
But yeah, like I said, I just kind of self-taught myself. But like I said, what's crazy anything? It's just
insane.
We have fun at it, and like we weren't originally supposed to even like have merch or anything. We're like, fuck t-shirts. And then after the first show, we're like, guys have t-shirts. And the guy who put on the show, Freddie Alva, a friend of mine, he's an author. He paid us really well for our first show. We used that whole thing. It paid that exact amount paid to get our shirts started. And the shirts have paid for themselves since. We've never had to throw any money. Now the band is self-sufficient. We rehearse in my drummer's basement, so we don't have to pay for rehearsals. All the recordings from this point on have paid for themselves because of the shirt money. So we've never had to throw a dime in to record. The only thing that's come out of pocket and not so much the band stuff is our stickers. We have made to date 14,000 Crazy Eddie stickers.
I've seen them in Rockaway a lot, so a couple times.
The reason why is because we're friends with a lot of graffiti guys, and the whole thing about getting up and putting your shit everywhere. Something clicked in my brain saying I have to put Crazy Eddie stickers everywhere. They have to be visible, they have to be out, and they're always free. Buttons are always free because I hate when you go to a show and a 3x3 sticker and someone's like, yeah, the stickers are $1. And you're like, dude, these things cost you 7 cents to make. I know, it's like, fuck you. So, and honestly, with like, it kind of goes back to the rub with like Fahrenheit never really had any real stickers back in the day. I think there was a run of like these, like the logo we used to have on the EP. We had those in red. I think there were only a few hundred of them, and they disappeared. And we never made stickers again because Fahrenheit never officially had an official logo. Funny enough, because a while back, Chris Wynn from An Effect asked me, he's like, I'm doing he wanted to do a piece on us. He's like, oh yeah, send me your logo. I'm like, logo? Dude, we never had a logo. He's like, how could you not have a logo? I was like, we couldn't agree on one. We people would always show us stuff, and we'd run with it. Like the one thing that stuck with us the longest is the road sign design.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I saw on the t-shirts all the time. I remember.
Yeah, the road sign. We're still back on t-shirts, and now we have an F451 in graffiti.
I like that. I like that one.
Yeah, that's the one that we've been using a lot. It's on all our streaming stuff. It's the one that we're kind of pushing, and we identify with it. But like I said, Crazy is just fun. It takes care of itself. We try to play at least one show a month, if not every other month. Because again, Kevin still is in the military. He's stationed in New Jersey, so he's doing his thing. Chucky works nights as a porter for 32B. So, his days off are Friday and Saturday, and he has to be at work Sunday night.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, so we could play matinees on Sundays. We could play Fridays and Saturdays. And then Jason is a school teacher. So we have all, again, we have all different responsibilities and things.
I got you. Changes.
But yeah, like I said, if you want to, just to give a plug to Chucky real quickly, Chucky Brown's Hood TV. Check him out on IG. Check him out on YouTube. Check him out. But yeah, like I said, it does its own thing. It's just fun. We have a good time doing it. And like I said, to give some props to Drew Stone, he also put out this thing.
He's a fucking man.
You know, this is like I said, this is the Back to the Roots A7 compilation. Uh, you know, he put this out. A lot of great bands on here. Fucking somehow we managed to snag the fucking first slot on it. I don't know how, but we did. It's just cool, you know. It's like you know,
He's keeping it alive, man. I like that what he does.
No,
Man. He keeps it alive.
It's you know what it is. It's very hard to fucking. It's very hard to fucking move ahead sometimes because you have a lot of people who what I call gatekeep the scene. So it's like the same like 5 bands always playing with each other everywhere, and they don't want anyone new coming in. There's other bands that are blowing up, and some of them deserve to get big, and some of them are just terrible. But you know, who am I to say? My tastes are different than everyone else's taste. You know, I don't listen to hardcore 24/7. You know, there's times I'll get on a Beach Boys kick and I'll listen to Beach Boys for fucking 3 days. You know, it just again whatever tickles my fancy at the moment.
I like that style. I like that. That's my style too.
Again, there's nothing.
Let me tell you a quick story, real quick. Right, I was trying to find bands now, and you remember back in the days, you used to go to like what was it, Sam Goody, and get the whatever. And I'm looking for bands. Yeah, I'm looking for bands. I'm like, let me see if I can get a band over here. And I picked this band out because the thing first one I got was an autopsy of the chest, and it wanted to be a propane. So I was like, I picked out a good band. They were pretty good. I was like, okay. I like the Truth Hurts album and stuff like that. So then I went for the second time and I picked out a band. I'm like, yo, this band's called Morphine. They got to be a hardcore like metal band. It was like, no, they weren't.
No, they're actually a good band though.
No, but picking out the names, I was like, oh, I messed up that one. Morphine.
Let me tell you something, right? Like nowadays, I have very like how I find out about new music for the most part is my wife. She has her ear plugged in because she shoots a lot of different shows, you know. And you know, she gets work from a lot of different people, and she's like, I saw this band, and she'll like, you know, since we're big into records, she'll bring a record home, and I'm like, oh shit, this is good, you know, and I get turned on to things,
gotcha,
you know,
gotcha.
and with all of us, like Armando constantly is, you know, showing me, you know, like, oh, check out this link for this band, or our drummer Jason's into a lot of different stuff, and we're all into. All of us are always recommending stuff to one another. It just, you know, I mean, back in the day, how I used to find out about bands is the thank you lists. What you look at a band's thank you list.
Yeah,
like,
you're right. That's
and
true.
especially on the old Revelation records. You know, you would see certain bands thanked a bunch of times, and then you go out, you find the record, and you listen to it, and either you loved it or you fucking hated it. You just didn't, you know. It just was one of those things, you know. You fucking that's how you found it. Thank you list and word of mouth. You know, like I think what the internet did was it leveled the playing field. So, like to get noticed back in the day, you just had to play your ass off and again be the right place at the right time. I think with the internet, the information's out there, but the problem is the information is too much of it now. Now you have to like wade through a lot of mediocrity to find something you like, but sometimes that's part of that journey is a lot of fun sometimes because things that some person might hate, all of a sudden you find something by accident and you go like the YouTube rabbit hole, as I call it. You know, how many times like you're on YouTube and then there's that whole recommended thing on the right side, and you go, what is that? You hit it and you're just like, huh, this is actually pretty good. You know, and it's like you get turned on to things sometimes, and then the next thing, you know, 5 hours later, like, how did I get to like watching car accidents or something, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
You know,
I'm into like stupid shit. I like conspiracy theories. So talking about rabbit holes, we can go down rabbit holes like that. But I'm just saying, I like stuff like that. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Where do people find music today? How is it out there? How do people like? Is there other ways instead of going to shows?
I mean, the obvious one is streaming. You know, I mean, there's people who hate paying for fucking subscription services. You have Bandcamp. Bandcamp is a good way for a lot of bands to get their stuff out there for free for the most part. Like you don't have to be a subscriber to listen to music on Bandcamp. Okay. You know, but they're trying to make Bandcamp is now trying to make their money. Like now you have to download their app to fucking listen to certain songs. You know,
gotcha. All right.
Always got their hand out looking for something, but for the most part, word of mouth is still a big thing. Just being an excellent band and just kicking the shit out of things and taking names and numbers. You look at like this is another band like that was huge for me, like that Fugazi, right?
Yeah.
Like Fugazi, yeah, Waiting Room gets
That's
some.
the only song I know really by them. To be honest with you.
Their whole catalog is fantastic. But
I gotta check it out.
like I said, that's a band that did everything DIY. Again, $5 shows. They did it real roots. They didn't use the big conglomerate. They did it DIY. And, that band has sold millions of records. And it's all done fucking homegrown. And it's again word of mouth, being a good band, whatever. I just think that at this day and age, a lot of it's recommending to people. But then there's, like I said, there's a negative side to that because sometimes things get shoved down your fucking throat so much, and a lot of it, again, taste vary. So I like what I like. I'll hear something and everyone's like, I love this band, and I'll listen to it. It's like, it does nothing for me. And they're like, oh, how can you not like it? You just like that other stuff.
Oh, you're a hater. You're a hater.
Yeah, you're a hater. It has nothing to do with being a hater, dude. I know what I like. I think there's things I love that other guys hate. And I don't go, how can you not like this band? It's like, dude, you have your taste, I have mine. I'm allowed to have a different viewpoint than you do. I'm allowed to have a different stand on things, and it's all right. It's kind of like when people are like, oh, if you vote, I'm not going to get into politics, but I remember this one. Oh, if you voted for so and so, just unfriend me. I'm like, dude, that's what I like about my friends. We're all different.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't have to have the same viewpoint.
I don't like people attacking anybody on social media either, man. That's like that's such like cowardness, like hiding behind a keyboard to do. That's one thing I hate about life now. Remember back in the days, you had a problem. We said it right here, face to fucking face. We settled it.
Problem now. Yeah, too many people out there
haters, man.
On the keyboard, and and they talk out of the side of their mouth, and they're never gonna fucking get what's coming to them.
Yeah, it's
just part of the culture now. It's just the cancel culture thing. Fucking Karens, Kens, this, that, the other thing. It's just as I get older, I just go, it is what it is, dude. I just roll with the fucking punches.
As long as you can get up there and go up there and you could play, I'm still happy for that. So, we're getting, like you said, 50th anniversary. Like, that's your 50th birthday party.
Yeah.
Will it be like a 75th if you're still around, still doing it hardcore?
I'll be retired by 60-ish. I don't know what I'm going to be doing when I'm 60. I don't know if I'll be doing this.
But it's funny, right? You think about it, right? Like, you're kind of with the breaking, you're getting old with the scene.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like when they're all like, I watched something that I think Drew put it up. I know one of the bands put it up in one of the parks, and I'm looking at the guys. I'm like, holy shit, we're all old now, man. All of us.
It's funny, right? So Meadows, who used to play guitar in Demise and 25 to Life, he played in Madball for a little bit. He now has a son, Caden, who plays guitar in the band.
Oh, wow.
And it's great because like it's just nice to see that generation, and they're all good kids. The band's called Reaching Out. They're actually really good, and they're it's just interesting. Like, oh man, your fucking kids are now playing shows. This is weird. It's like Frank's,
that's cool.
Like Frank's daughters, come to the shows, and one's like 16 or 17 now. The other one's in their 20s, and it's just like I remember when you guys were born, and now you're coming to shows, and it's like it's beyond just like.
But it's good to see. It's good to see lasted that long. Like, you know what I mean? It's nice.
The scene's been going on way before me, and it'll be here.
Yeah, we get it. We get it. We get it. We get it.
I just think that again, things change. And you don't want to be that old crotchety guy, and I can be that old crotchety guy. Some people go, "Oh, you're a grumpy fuck." Sometimes, like, yeah, I'm a grumpy fuck. I get up at 5 a.m. I work fucking, I work a hard job. I don't need to be pleasant all the time. It's hard to be pleasant. I tend to overthink things and take things too far sometimes, and that's just the way I am. And I don't make no apologies for it. My friends know I care about them, and sometimes I can be a little rough on them, but it is what it is.
At the end
You
of the
know,
day,
I'm not,
you
yeah,
are. Yeah, I got you.
at the end of the day, I am who I am, and they've more or less taken the fucking, they more or less accepted it. I mean, it's funny because I look back and like everyone I went to high school with, I haven't spoken to those people in years. People, you know, there's people that I've kept some of the same friends I've had for the last 30 years, but people change. Their attitudes change. They grow up into a different realm, and occasionally we reach out to each other. Some of these old friends, like, hey, how's life going? And hope everything's good. Talk to you later. Now we'll talk to them for another year. And it just is what it is. You remember like, oh, I used to hang with that person hard for fucking like,
Trust me, I know, man. I know. Because
and
I used to go to hockey games. I was a big hockey fanatic, and I used to go to the hockey games with just one dude. Now I live in the same building, dude. We don't even say nothing. It's like the weirdest shit. Like,
yeah, I
but
mean,
you know what? You go down different avenues, take different blocks, and it is
every,
what it is.
as I look at it this way, as long as everybody I know is like living their life and not struggling, like for the most part, everyone I know to this point, you know, is, most of my friends are either in their fucking 40s or in their 50s now. And, we're all like, it's really weird to say that we're all responsible adults for the most part.
And I
Um,
went hanging out in them vans, and
dude,
see,
I
guys,
still don't,
yeah, it's not that bad. See, it works
no,
out.
no,
It works out. It works
it
out.
works out, but it's really weird though because I never when I turned 30, I was like, holy fuck, dude, I never thought I was gonna make it to this age. Because I mean, the amount of like dumb shit, that we did, and the amount of drugs and then cocaine is a whole other fucking story, which I'm not getting into.
No,
But
not in this show, please. Not today.
no,
I don't
but
want to get into the. But you're
yeah, but
right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
like to make it to this age and still have my faculties and even to make it to this age and you know I work for a living and you know again responsible adult, have an apartment, blah blah blah,
Yeah. Yeah.
do adult shit. And then the thing that keeps me rooted is probably playing music. Again, it's just like I never thought like Fahrenheit would be writing new stuff. Yeah, and, what year are we in? 2023.
Yeah.
It's like who knew? And at this point, we're gonna do what we've always done with that band is we're gonna stay in our lane. We're gonna do what we do.
That's
And
it.
same thing with Crazy Eddie. We're just gonna do what we do. We're gonna have fun. People come along and enjoy themselves with us. That's all we care about. Oh, by the way, want to give a shout out real quickly to Rock and Rex Records. That's who's going to be putting out the Crazy Eddie 7-inch entitled Eddie Puts Out a 7-inch because
There
Eddie
you go.
does the Crazy Eddie thing. Eddie always does something. Eddie drops out of college. Eddie goes to night school. Eddie ruins fun. You know, Eddie puts out a 7-inch because it's our first official like piece of wax.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
we've done a couple comps, we've done a couple things, but we've never had our we
Your
never had
own.
a record, like our own record yet. So it was like friend of ours who ran a record store back in the day called Rock and Rex, Tony. He's been on us to put out a record for a while, and I was like, you know what? Let's give him a record.
You
So
got it.
five new, totally caveman style fucking hardcore tracks of a lot of shouting and a lot of fucking, you know, whatever we're into. And
Will they be ready for the birthday party or no?
unfortunately, it won't. It
No.
takes
Okay.
nowadays. It could take up to 3 to 6 to 9 months for a record to come out.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
really the luck of the draw. It depends on what's in front of what they have, what the printing plants have on their.
You will have merch. You guys will have merch and stuff like that at the
Oh,
show,
no,
right?
both,
Okay. Okay.
well, both Fahrenheit and Crazy will have some sort of merch. Fahrenheit will have copies of this fucking thing
Okay.
at the show. We'll have shirts. Just don't buy our stuff. We're trying to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, pick up fucking overstand merch if they have it. Hopefully, Todd, get your fucking shit together, get shirts. Inzaguri will always has shirts and swag available. And like I said, just come down and enjoy yourself. Fucking, hang out with your friends, fucking get into conversations, you know, fucking get shit faced and fucking love each other. I really don't care. You
Yeah.
know, it's not about like, check us out, man. We're doing stuff. It's like, no, dude, come down, hang out, you know, fucking, you know, we only have so much time on this planet, you know,
Exactly.
and right now we also have the ability to go up there and rock the fucking house. So let's keep doing it, you know, and when it starts getting sad, you know, we'll have to think about it. But right now,
Will you play the waiting room? Will you do that? Will.
maybe.
Okay.
Can't,
Okay. Okay.
I can't say right now. I mean, right now, we, you know,
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
no, waiting room's always a fun cover. It always gets people sing along.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, it's my birthday, so it's pretty much my fucking choice. So we'll probably do it. But yeah, Buck. I mean, it's been fun. But like I said, I just think, you know, at this stage of the game, you know, it's fun to still see that friends are out there surviving, doing it. You know, some friends of ours have, you know, unfortunately shifted off this mortal coil for one reason or another. Others have become extremely successful at what they've done. You know, a lot of guys I know now, like I said, house, family, you know, some people have the second summer home. You know, we all seem to be doing something with each other.
At least we're all still around. Just be happy we're all still around, right?
Yeah, no,
That's it. It's
it's
gonna be
a
fun.
thing, dude. It's a
And what's
beautiful
it?
thing
What's the
that we're
date
all
again? Let's do a date up there one more time for everybody. Here it is.
throw the
Oh, so
other
I
one
got.
up too while you're at it.
Yeah. I gotta wait to June, man. You couldn't have been born like in. It's better to go in. I know you don't like the winter shows. I know that already.
And
Oh, April. Okay, we can make it to
oh,
April.
just to give you a quick fucking thing on this, Crippled Earn. Put that
Oh,
flyer back up real quick. Thank you. Crippled Earn, fucking good band from like the Bronx area, and then you have Go, who were like an ABC No Rio band. They're great. They play short, fast, hardcore songs. Down Low is my drummer's other band. They've been around since the '90s. They're fun.
okay.
Some Huffer is actually cool. They just released some new music and a video. Um, bunch of bunch of fun young upstarts. I mean, none of those guys are fucking like kids. You know, they're all veterans, but they're, you know, they're younger than me. We'll say that much. Also, I want to give a quick another plug. If anyone needs photographs, check. My wife takes fantastic photos. You
Okay.
know,
I should have gave you some pictures. I would have put them up, man. You know what? Send it to me.
Photos
Send me
are
pictures. We just
you fuck.
what? No, not even.
I photograph photos. You fuck.
Did
I'll
you?
send you the fucking messages. We
Oh,
don't have
okay.
to start proving.
No, well, this is taped anyway. It's gonna go. I'll put them up. I'll make sure I get it up there.
And Mennona Photography. You could find her on Instagram. She has a Flickr page. You know, she has photos. You know, taking photos everywhere. Usually, she's you know, she's usually at all my shows. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
You know, go say hi to her. Grab a card. Work something out. You know, fucking. It's all about. You know, it's all about the craft of photography. You know, it's not about pray and spray. You know, it's about taking fucking quality shots. You know, so Buck, before we go, so you're a dad, huh?
I'm a dad. Yeah, 3 times, man. Three
God
times.
bless. God, how old?
23. My son just got on. I don't like to say, but he's got on the police force a couple weeks ago.
Fucking, that's an ungrateful job. Let me tell you.
You know what it is? You go through life and you worry about your kid going out, and now he's when you just hang out and drink and shit. Now he's going out, and you worry. You're always gonna worry about it. I got my daughter; she's 21, and my son, my baby's 14. So I think he would like. to come out to the show. My younger guy.
Bring him. It's all ages. You know,
I will. I definitely will bring him out.
Bring him out. You know, I mean,
Introduce him to a little hardcore music and stuff like that. My brother's down because every time we went to shows, my brother would always come with me. We weren't hardcore, you know.
But the thing is, you were a part of something. Whether you want to say, "Oh, I kind of went."
I liked it. I loved it.
There's a lot of people who this was a phase for them, and they, you know, in the '90s, there was a point where like you could have like 3 shows in one night, and every single show would be packed to the rafters. You know, now if someone throws a show against your show, it goes either way. Both shows could be packed, or one is packed, or no one wants to go to that other show because whatever. people used to just like to go out and do stuff. I think that's the one thing about social media and cell phones and shit. People, it's like funny. Like here's a fun story. So every now and again, I'll see someone at a show or an event or whatever, and I'll like look at them like, oh, that person follows me on social media. So I'll go up to them and say, hey, what's up? They're like, I'm like, it's like, yeah, 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 you follow me on my Instagram and blah blah blah. You've actually liked my things. You've made comments on some of my photos. And like it's like the social skills are gone. You know,
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
it's like they follow you, they comment, but when it comes to like this, they're just like, I was like, dude, just say hi. We don't have to chop it up about whatever. You just like, hey, how's life?
Yeah.
You know,
No,
how,
no,
you
no
know,
communication. No,
yeah,
none.
a 2 minute conversation. It either's gonna break into a 10-minute conversation or it's just gonna die on the vine right there. But at least have the balls to fucking go that extra step. Just come up, say hi. It's kind of funny because there's people who fucking come up to me and they'll be like, I've been wanting to talk to you, but you look unapproachable. And I'm like, yeah. I put off the vibe sometimes. Is like, I don't want to be fucked with. Like I have, at a show, especially before the show, sometimes I'm in show mode and I'm just like concentrating on like, all right, I have to get up there and kick the shit out of this thing. So I'm just like, don't fuck with me. I'm in show mode. And after the show, hey, come up, talk. You can talk to me.
Lenny's grumpy old man. Damn, come on.
I'm crushing you, dude. I'll be the first person to admit it.
That's all right.
I actually, it's worked well for me, over the years. Sometimes it's helped me avoid situations. Sometimes
I go, I'll still come over to say hello to you, especially on your birthday, man.
Dude, anyone could come up and say hello. Nobody is unapproachable. That's what makes this. That's what makes this type of music great. We're all on the same playing field. There's nothing that really separates, the audience from the band and vice versa.
That's why I was so drawn to this kind of music, because I felt like you saw a guy playing and it was like, yeah, I like that. Exactly.
It's kind of like Jimmy from Murphy's Law, right? Like he's like one of the first, like not one of the first people I met, but he was like one of the first like big hardcore people I met. And Jimmy's a fucking sweetheart. He's very approachable. You could go up and say hi to him, and and every time I see Jimmy, we don't talk about music or whatever. We just talk about life. He'll usually, hey, I saw that photo of you, hanging steel the other day, man. I can't do that. I'm like, dude, it's easy. Once, I do it because I get paid to do it. That's why I do it. Yeah, and also, I always tell people, it's not the fall that's going to kill you. It's the sudden stop. The worst thing that can happen to you is, you die, but so many safety features, as long as you go out there being responsible, you should come back with all your fucking digits intact and your facilities. Other guys are cowboys, and I don't have nothing to do with those dudes.
No, me neither, man. No. They don't want to hook up, or they don't want to do that. They don't want none of that shit, man.
Here's the thing.
I know, because I live in Rockaway. I hear all, we know all the guys and shit.
Yeah, but here's the thing. A lot of those guys rat themselves out because we have a big thing right now, like on at one of the last meetings we had, they were saying how, guys, with the social media shit, really, because there's guys like, instead of like, some guys will take a quick photo of like guys setting something, and it's like a work photo. There's other guys who actually pose and they want to be at the end of the fucking beam, or they want to be.
I seen that. Yeah.
And a lot of guys get fucking in trouble because one dude got fired because of social media, because he ran out to take a quick photo. He wasn't tied off, and and the thing is, the GCs will look through social media. Like the guys will like hashtag the building they're working on or their local that they're affiliated with.
Jesus Christ! But they don't even realize what they're doing either. That's the funny thing.
It's like, dude, they have people who their job is to just scour the internet looking for shit, and so they were like, and they'll come in the next day with the picture blown up. They're like, so not tied off, 5 feet from the edge, you're out of here, and it's just like, you did it to yourself, dude. You did it to yourself. What do you want me to tell you?
I
Be like,
know.
oh, I should have the freedom. I'm like, no, it's their job site, their rules, and let's get real. You have kids at home.
Yeah, God forbid something happened, and then
Yeah.
right. You're
You
right.
know,
All right, Lenny, we call it a night, man.